Here, watch this video. The Druze in Israel are saying that they're ready with a Druze IDF division to enter Syria and fight alongside their brother. A division that's about 10 to 20,000 strong. And when we're talking about 10 to 20,000 Israeli IDF soldiers, that's probably equivalent to 100,000 Syrians. I mean, the guys there, they're not military trained. Most of them are literally just bloodthirsty jihadists with many factions of warriors that came from all the Middle East because they just want to kill people.
מספר שכונות, לא נכון, הנה אנחנו בקשר ישיר.
זה לא בג'רננה, זה לא בסווידה אומר.
בסחניה, סחניה,
רגע, אני אגיד לכם שנייה חברים, אני רק רוצה להבין עוד דבר. הם שואלים גם לגבי האם נשקל הנושא של הצנחת חימושים לדרוזים?
Asking if the option of dropping military airdrops, ammunition, and etc., and airdropping it for the Druze in Syria, if that's something that's been discussed on the table. Let's continue.
לא יכול לשתף את זה, אוקיי. בסדר, אבל אתם מודעים לאירוע, ואתם מטפלים, ואנחנו עומדים, אני אמרתי פה בצורה הכי ברורה, אני רוצה להגיד את זה פה בכל רם, ושתאשר לי. מדינת ישראל תשמור על הדרוזים בסוריה, ולא תאפשר לפגוע בהם.
So a little bit of context. This religious man in the middle with the big beard, that is the leader, the highest leader of the Druze religion in Israel, Sheikh Muwaffaq Tarif. And he's sitting there with some delegations of Druze and a member of the Israeli government. And he's just now on the phone call. I don't know exactly with who.
תגיד לו שיש אוגדה דרוזית מתארגנת
מה אתה אומר, רומן?
שיגייסו אותנו נוכל להיכנס.
זה ההתחייבות שאמר שר הביטחון וראש הממשלה, ואנחנו עומדים מאחורי ההתחייבות הזו. תודה רבה, תודה רבה, שלום.
Usually when the military would say, I can't confirm this, it means that something is happening behind the scene. We just don't know, or we're just waiting. So let's see what's going on. Now, welcome to the show, guys. My name is Mansour. I'm an Israeli Druze. I was an officer in the IDF and the Special Forces. I have relatives in Syria, and I've been talking to quite a lot of Druze, ex-Muslims, Alawites, Christians from Syria. So I'm going to try to give you right now a brief update about what's happening now in Syria. The Druze resistance, Sahnaya and Jaramana, have been defeated, or at least the radical jihadists and the government took control of that area. There's still Druze there that haven't surrendered. Now, the government is demanding that they surrender their weapon, which is kind of funny when you think about it, that the government is coming to the minority who's being under attack by the majority of radical and jihadists and terrorist group, and they're demanding the surrender of the weapon of the minorities who are trying to defend themselves from the government. That is mind-blowing. Further, and that's where the really interesting news is happening right now. The government went along with their jihadist warlords and tribes, and they just went to siege Sweida. Sweida is the biggest Druze stronghold in Syria and have become a shelter for Christians and Alawites as well. Anyone who is running away from the government. The Druze there are standing strong, and right now they're being besieged by overwhelming numbers. There is pickup trucks with the flags of Daesh, ISIS, Al-Qaeda. There is literally tons of jihadists embedded with the government that are there right now sieging the area of Sweida. On top of that, the people of Sweida were betrayed by their allies, the Bedouins that were living around them, which surprised them and stabbed them with a knife in the back and started killing them and ratting them out, basically exposing them and weakening them from within. And they started a war between the Druze and the Bedouins. As the latest update that I've heard, the Druze have won that battle, and there's about 700 dead Bedouins there. And right now they're asking for a hudna, which is a Muslim way to say, let's have a ceasefire because you're winning, so I can prepare myself and come and kill you again. And they're asking for permission from the Druze to allow them to go and gather the deads that are piling up in the battlefield. I've seen some of the images. I'm not going to share them here, but it's horrific. It's a war. It's literally a war, what is going on there. And the Druze are standing alone against the entire country that is backed up by Turkey, run by radical jihadists, Jawlani and his Al-Qaeda goons, ISIS and Nusra, you name it. All of them are just coming right now bloodthirsty, looking for an excuse to go and murder the Druze. Very disturbing thing that is happening, that the government there have shut the electricity and internet over the Druze communities. Now, something very sinister is happening behind the scene. I've seen that with a video where you see a Muslim jihadist guy who piled up a bunch of Druze men and religious people, and they're shaving their beards and they're making them make sounds of cows and goats and sheep just before they go and execute them. And then you hear in the background, someone is yelling at him, turn the camera off, turn the camera off.
معي مع كمان ذبح حالك عم تحلب معي تم القبض عليهم فسبحان الله.
Now what happened is, And I've been hearing that from the Syrians. When the people of Syria massacred the Christians and the Alawites, they were live streaming it all to the world, just like Hamas did on October 7. But that backfired really badly on them because the Western community started pressuring them, saying, what's going on? Jawlani, you said you're going to be, a moderate leader, and you're going to make Syria great again. What's happening here? So instead of actually trying to change Syria, what they're doing is they're saying, don't share these videos, but keep doing any crime under the sun. Just don't share it out there. It's very disturbing. And if Elon Musk will ever hear this video, Elon, I think it would be a very good idea to put some Starlink right now over Syria and to help protect the minorities who are being oppressed by the government. Let me tell you something, guys. If the Druze in Syria fall down, all the minorities in Syria will extinct. Literally, the Druze are right now the last stronghold of minorities that is still standing tall and trying to fight and defend themselves and other minorities. And if they fall, I'm telling you, the minorities in Syria will be wiped out. Turkey is trying to wipe out the Kurds. Jawlani and his guys are trying to wipe out the Kurds and the Druze and the Christians and the Alawites. This is a real genocide that is happening, but surprise, surprise, no one in the campuses in Columbia and Harvard is demonstrating or saying all eyes on Syria. Why is that happening? Well, we all know the answer, because their friends, the jihadists, are the one who committed the crime, and they don't want to expose their friends. They only like to expose the victims and to weaken the only one that is trying to fight and defend, which is Israel and the Druze and other groups around this area that are fighting for their life. A very interesting update that we're hearing right now, there was a betrayal among the Druze, the people of Bal'us. Bal'us, it became a nickname in Israel. When you want to curse someone, you say, Ya Ibn Bal'us, or Ya Bal'us. Bal'us is the name of this guy, Laith Bal'us, and he is one of the leaders that is affiliated with Jumblat, and he is somehow managed to get himself with the government of Syria, betraying the Druze. And there is Druze. It's supposed to be a minority among the Druze, but they're making a lot of noise and trying to make look like the Druze want to surrender, want to give up their weapon. They're trying to convince the Druze to lay down their weapons. Let me tell you something. What is happening there is a classic Haybar, Haybar, Ya Yahud. Prophet Muhammad went and sieged a Jewish town by the name of Haybar. The Jews tried to defend themselves and they fought. But then after a long and exhausting fight, Muhammad came and offered the Jews that if they will surrender, they'll have mercy on them. The Jews came and said, wait, you're going to have mercy on us, women and children. If we surrender, we can end this war, maybe find a diplomatic solution. Said, yes, please, let's do that. They laid down their weapons, they opened the gates, and Muhammad and his warlords went inside, slaughtered the men, enslaved the women, and took their daughters as sex slaves. So when they're calling Haybar, Haybar, Ya Yahud,
you might be familiar with the slogan, Khaybar, Khaybar, O Jews, the army of Muhammad will return, but this is a new one, updated since the addition, the stream of Yusuf al-Qaradawi has added to it, and it says the army of Muhammad started returning. This is why Israel is very concerned with what's happening in Syria.
That's what they mean. And what they're doing right now, they're saying again, Haybar, Haybar, Ya Yahud, but they're meaning that towards the Druze, and they're going around there.
كل واحد درزي بيشوفه بالسكن ذابحينه اللقاء العام الحاضر يعني من غايب.
And they're not saying anymore, Jaysh Muhammad Sayaud, which is the army of Muhammad will come back. They're saying the army of Muhammad is already here. They're literally seeing them as a continuous of the religious war of Muhammad against all the infidels, in their eyes, which the Druze are considered as infidels, and it's a call to eradicate them. So if the Druze will lay down their weapon, that will be the end of them. They're saying right now, from my report, 80% of the Druze are resisting and saying we're not going to lay down our weapon. And God, I hope that they won't. And God, I hope that Israel will go and help them with supplies, because they're being sieged. They're running out of ammunition. They're running out of food, running out of water. They're running out of men. And they're literally fighting right now as maybe the last line of defense for any hope for the future of Syria. That's what it is, guys. It's very, very important.